Hello, I'll be beginning in I'll be beginning my speech now. Around this time in 2020, the pandemic hit, and as a society we were left wondering what was going to happen next. And as an AP student, I was wondering what the AP tests were going to look like if not in person. That manifested itself into us as an entire country taking less than a third of what most of the AP tests would have been. This leading many colleges to not accept those credits because they think the tests were too easy. And this translates itself to the 2020 to the 2021 school year. What is that school year going to look like, and is it going to be the whole thing? And if not, how can we make up for that? Leading us directly into my question today, which is, should we allow students for this academic year to retake all of their classes for full credit in person? And the answer to that question is yes. And to best explain that to you, first I'll be talking about the struggle that those students are currently facing, and then I'll be talking to you about what exactly that struggle is causing in their future and why it's problematic. And finally, I'll be talking to you about why it's beneficial for us to allow students to retake those classes, especially for their own future. Now, moving on to why specifically kids are facing issues in this distance learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. And according to a CNN article published on September 9th, 2020, the biggest issue that students are having with distance learning is getting enough of the learning. As a student in Washoe County School District, it has been a serious problem for us to get the full amount of curriculum in half the time. Because of this A-B kind of schedule. And this leading to many students, myself included, getting half the curriculum and having to make up for it somehow, and that making it extremely challenging for students. This article also speaking at length about how equitable distance learning is, and how the quality of the technology you're using to learn and interact with your classes can make a huge difference in the amount of actual education you're getting on those in-distance days. Now, those are the issues that I'm facing. However, those are also the issues in this article. Talks about how other individuals are facing these issues, specifically about how those issues are affecting the entire nation as a whole in education. And that leads us into my second main point, which is, according to a Brookings article, a research article published on September 8th, 2020, the number one issue is colleges and thinking about how your education will translate to college. Because colleges, similar to the AP tests, don't want to give you admissions or give you credit for those classes if you're getting, say, half the actual curriculum and still getting an A in the class. This kind of being seen as a subpar A. So honors classes are no longer honors classes. AP classes are no longer AP classes. And this leading to students having less of a competitive edge when competing with other students for med school programs or further education. And this manifesting itself into what is now the application process for graduates of 2021, who are finding themselves competing with an increasing number of graduates from 2020 who decided to take a gap year due to the pandemic. And of course, because the lack of curriculum being taught to those 2021 applicants, they are seeing less acceptance rates for those applicants. And this leading many of those students to want to retake those classes, to gain a better education and to get the full curriculum in, making them at least stand on equal ground with other applicants, that being the key issue. And of course, the benefits of allowing students to retake those classes can be seen and manifested through those credits. Giving students the opportunity to retake those classes will allow them to further their education and get more of a competitive edge with students who have taken those classes outside of the pandemic. And this also combating equitability issues and how students are receiving different amounts of education. If I received a fair amount of education in a certain class and feel like I don't need to retake it, it's crucially important to allow that other student who didn't have access to a computer every single day, who didn't get the full curriculum. It's important to allow them to retake it. And according to a letter to the editor published in a Guardian article on February 1st, 2021, this is a serious issue moving forward into 2021 graduation and students trying to make their way to college at a competitive level. And this article speaks at length about those issues being faced by students who are being seen as having received half of the curriculum and therefore simply not as competitive, and why it's necessary, as per the title of the article, necessary to allow students to retake those classes, not to require it or make it mandatory, but to allow it, because the 2020 pandemic and COVID-19 as a general pandemic has led to severe educational deficits within the country, and I can say that as a student. And it's increasingly important to, at the very least, allow students like myself to gain the ability to become competitive with other college applicants that may or may not have received better education in the eyes of any academic university. And those are the number one reasons why, despite this terrible pandemic ripping through our education system, it's important that when it's over, we allow students to return to the in-person classroom environment and retake those classes that they have now missed out on in order to have a better future for themselves and cultivate success. Thank you.